Hi everyone, welcome back to the Eleanor Show. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Lorelai.
And we're here to give you your daily dose of author interviews.
Your job's a joke, you broke, your love life's the old way. It's like you're always stuck in second gear. When it hasn't been your day, your week, your month, or even your year. But I'll be there for you when the rain starts to pour. I'll be there for you like I've been there before. I'll be there for you, so there for me too.
Hi everybody, I'm Lauren, and today I have Brian Stevenson and Walter McMillan.
Hey.
Hello. May the two of you please introduce yourself and tell me just a little bit about you.
I'm Brian Stevenson. I'm a lawyer. I founded the Equal Justice Initiative, fighting for people's rights, and that's what I'm passionate about. I've been working on it for a while. I wrote the book we're going to talk about today.
Hi, I'm Walter McMillan and Brian Stevenson.
Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Walter McMillan, and I was wrongfully convicted of murder. But this man right here, Brian Stevenson, is my attorney after I got sentenced, and he helped me get exonerated.
Thank you guys. May you please both just tell me just a little bit about your backgrounds?
I grew up in a predominantly black community. I remember we were separated by the railroad tracks. My grandma was my biggest inspiration. She told me to fight for what I know. I went to Harvard. I decided that I wanted to work for something more than that. And that's when I found myself in Alabama, and I was working on the lives of those who were placed in death row or in prison for life. How about you?
I worked before I was put in prison. I worked in Monroeville as a self-employed wood worker, pulpwood specifically. I had a family and some lovely children.
Thank you. Go.
Now Walter, why did you choose to write Just Mercy after you'd already impacted the justice system?
Good. Well, society often views those prisoners as inherently undeserving of a second chance. I mean, that's what fosters a false narrative that they're irredeemable. This belief is detrimental to the opportunities for rehabilitation and perpetuate the cycle of injustice. I mean, I wrote this book to show that prisoners have complex stories, including trauma, the systematic racism, as well as some with mental health illness, which half the time is the cause for their incarceration. Understanding, their full context, it's crucial to fostering empathy and allowing for meaningful change, which is essential for true justice and redemption.
Thank you. That was a very educated answer. I completely agree.
Thank you.
In Just Mercy, you discussed the concept of false narratives about people who are incarcerated. How do you think society's perception of the individuals in prison affects their chance of redemption?
So I wrote this book. It was to showcase all of these stories that were hidden behind their struggles with mental illness, with race, with poverty, with economic instability. Most people couldn't even afford a lawyer. And I feel like I needed to let those people be heard.
Thank you so much for your answer, Brian. Now, my next question is, what role does race play in the cases you highlight from your career to your book, Just Mercy? How is it addressed within the justice system?
I love this question. race plays a central role in the injustice, particularly with the disproportionate incarceration of black individuals. I mean, often under prejudiced legal process, as I tried to show with him. Racial bias, both implicit and explicit, influences police investigation, legal representation, and so much more. I mean, people can't even get lawyers nowadays. I mean, even I called for the deep systematic reckoning with racism in the legal system to create fairness and ensure that black individuals are not unjustly criminalized.
Now, Brian, my next question is, in your book, you talk about the importance of hope for the people you defend. Why is hope such a crucial factor for individuals in the criminal justice system, and how can it be cultivated?
I mean, hope is essential for survival, particularly for people dehumanized by the justice system. It serves as a source of strength and resilience, enabling circumstances for many of the people I worked with to have hope. It gives us the mental and emotional strength to fight for their freedom or a better life. Cultivating involves providing people with opportunities to be themselves, access to education, engage in rehab programs, have a fair trial. It's restoring dignity and allowing individuals to feel valued that a riot society often ignores for them.
Yes, thank you.
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
I said no, thank you.
Cut the cameras.
Thank you, Brian. Now, my next question is a little harsh, but I must ask. You emphasize the importance of mercy. How does mercy differ from pity? And why is it so important for justice?
Mercy is not pity, it's understanding. It seeks to recognize the individual's situation, their circumstances, and growth potential. I mean, pity is condescending and it's dismissive. Mercy doesn't ignore wrongdoing. It seeks to offer a path toward redemption or lesser punishment, just recognizing the person's humanity and potential. I mean, in Just Mercy, I emphasize that mercy is essential because it ensures that justice is not blind or heartless, but rather appreciates the human being that are capable of change, and that the law should uplift people and not merely punish them.
You often talk about the challenges of representing people who are often seen as undeserving for help. Why is it crucial to stand up for people whom society has written off? And how can this impact society as a whole?
Well, standing up for those society has written off as desperately important because it challenges the very foundation of injustice and inequality. I mean, advocating for people who are labeled undeserving. We remind society that everyone has inherent worth regardless of their past actions or circumstances, and shows that justice should not be based solely on whether someone is seen as worthy by society's standards, but it should be rooted in fairness, compassion, and the recognition of human dignity. This advocacy can create ripple effects that shift social altitudes greater than empathy and reform within more than just what we work to do in the justice system.
Thank you, Brian. Now, what are the risks and rewards of challenging a deeply flawed legal system as you do?
I'll add this question. Wait, are we filming?
Yes, go.
Oh. Challenging a flawed legal system carries significant personal, professional, and emotional risks, such as I had experienced. I didn't have it as half as bad as those I had to defend, like Walter. We can give Walter. I wasn't in prison, but I did face public backlash, including threats. and I went through legal battles, and the emotional toll of representing people in desperate situations is undeniable. But the reward is profound. I mean, fighting for justice can change lives as it did for Macmillan. Ultimately, the work is about creating more than just society, where a system just functions as protector of rights and dignity, rather than tools of oppression.
Now, Brian, this is our last and final question. What do you believe is the most powerful message that we can learn from your book?
That's a beautiful question. The most powerful message of Just Mercy is the pursuit of justice, and that should be rooted in compassion, humility, and a recognition of the inherent worth of every individual. I work to show that the justice system must be willing to see beyond someone's crimes and address the deeper social issues. Racial inequalities, poverty, mental illness. Those contribute to their circumstances. This was my message that calls to reform, which focus rehabilitation, second chances, and empathy. It has potential to influence future justice reforms by inspiring policymakers, legal professionals, and citizens even, to prioritize fairness, mercy, and human dignity in every aspect of the legal system and society itself.
Thank you, Walter.
Of course.
Sorry, Brian. Well, thank you so much, Brian Stevenson. I really appreciate your take on this and for educating us on your book, Just Mercy. But next up, we have Walter Macmillan.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Hello, Walter. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well.
Okay, well, hi, Walter. Welcome back. So, my first question is, what was your experience in prison, and how did others on death row treat you?
When I was arrested, the police told me it was for sodomy, but I had explained to them I'd never been with a man. I think they were just confused. They just wanted to say that I was sexually deviant because I was with a white woman. When they took me in, there were many threats on my life. A lot of people, law enforcement, threatened lynching, and most memorably, the sheriff told me he should just take me out and kill me. And that was a very difficult experience to go through. I couldn't explain anything. It was traumatic.
That sounds very hard. I'm very sorry you went through that, Walter. Thank you, Walter. Okay. My next question is, what role do allyship and solidarity play in the fight for racial justice, and how can people best support marginalized communities without overshadowing their voices?
Strength comes in numbers. If I didn't have half the people on my side, I don't think I would have made it through prison or thrive after. Everyone who showed up during my hearing was there in solidarity for me and for the cause.
Thank you. Now, Walter, my next question is, how do you respond to people who deny or downplay the existence of racism in our society?
People who don't think racism is a big part of the society or doesn't make a big effect on people have obviously never had to deal with it. I have had many first-hand experience with racism, including the entirety of Just Mercy. So I definitely know where racism stands in society. You know, sometimes I ask myself, other people ask me too, if I was a white man, would I ever have spent a day in prison? We don't know. I mean, we do, but we don't know.
Thank you so much for your answer, Walter. Now, my next question is, how does hope play a role in your life, and how did it affect your survival in prison? Go ahead.
Hope? Hope is the only thing that kept me alive in prison, the only thing that kept me sane. Hope is
everything when you're in solitary confinement. When you wake up alone from the majority of days for 6 years, hope is the only thing that's keeping you going. You know, it's necessary for survival. And it was hard, but hope kept me going.
Okay. My next question is, what makes the bond between you and Brian special?
Go.
He saved my life. Without Brian, I would probably still be in prison or dead. He was the only person in the legal system that still thought I was innocent and was willing to help me. It meant so much. He was there during my loneliest and most traumatic time. I will forever be indebted to Brian Stevenson.
Ready? Now, Walter, my last and final question is, what did the book Just Mercy mean to you? Last and final.
It portrayed my story in a truthful way. Brian went in depth into my story and my whole life in prison in a way no one else could, because he was there. He was with me. He was my attorney. He was my advocate. You know, and not only did it talk about my story, but the story of all those who were marginalized because of their race or their class, you know, poverty and all that.
Thank you, Walter. It was very nice meeting you. Have a good day.
And that was the end of today's episode of the L&L Show. I'm Lauren, and I'll catch you all next week.